All right. Hi, Mr. Cabasino. I'm Kevin. This is my little presentation on explaining all the design choices that I went with for this website, and yeah, just giving a little more in depth on how and what was going through my head when I built this. And so, from the beginning, I kind of wanted like a sort of minimalistic approach to this website. I didn't want to do anything too complicated, but I also wanted to um portray like how deep, like I think this book has a lot of deep meaning that is like embedded in it, and so I really wanted to portray that at least with my chapters of the book 25 through 31 and then the epilogue. And so first of all, I have a slideshow here, and it just circles or shuffles through these ordinary people. And so the different colors of the people, some and like different shapes, the different colors symbolize the different personalities that people can have, and the physical traits are also like physically people can be different. Yet, these are all still people that are categorized by the term ordinary people in a sense. And I thought that was cool because it related to the title of the book. And so scrolling down here, we have five main sections that the website is split into, and these are all hyperlinks. So if you click on the pictures, they all lead to different pages. And so starting with the first image over here, so these are both these are Conrad's parents. His mom is on the left and his dad is on the right, with closer to Conrad. And so I decided to do it like this because it shows the mom isolating herself, especially in the ending chapters of the book, and it looks like as if she's fading away, and as she distances herself from the family. And so, by the end of the book, she goes on a little vacation, and Conrad and his father are left kind of alone, isolated from her. And I tried to symbolize that with this image. And then so I did a yellow border around the image, because the color yellow symbolizes the falling apart relationship of the two parents. I tried to implement some color theory. The second picture is Conrad's therapist, Berger, right? And so this is just him and Berger talking, and this picture just shows Berger trying to listen to Conrad, helping him through all of his trauma. And then I went with the color like light brownish gray to just symbolize the comfort that Conrad felt while being with Berger in their relationship. For this picture, I went with two brothers, Buck and Conrad, and so their relationship, though kind of weird at some parts in the story, is really brotherly. They cared for each other, right? And so this part really symbolizes how after Buck passed away, Conrad really tried to live up to his name and having to shoulder responsibility, kind of, or that leads into the second part. But and then I did a peach border again to portray this like comfort he had with his brother, and also like their bond, their strong bond that they had. And then here we have Conrad, is the character in this image, and he's crumbling under the pressure of all the responsibility of trying to live up to Buck's name, and also like dealing with all the trauma from his death, all his parents, his friends, everything is just crumbling down on him, and he's putting himself under stress. And then the border I chose for this one was green because it symbolizes the responsibility slowly piling up, and then like a kind of disgust he has with himself, um, because he blames himself for the death of his brother. And then lastly, we have this sort of violent image, and this is just the mental pressure that has finally caught up to Conrad, and like the opinions of the other people's and what people and what they are saying, kind of affecting him. And so like idiot, waste of flesh, all of that, like very rude comments that affecting him are affecting him, and then a red border to symbolize like the violence and bloodiness of it all. And this part focuses on the stress and trauma, and also like the self harm. And then so if we go to this first page here, it talks about a lot of his parents, and then all of the important symbolism, and all of that's covered in the paragraphs. But mainly for the images that I picked this image of Beth here because I explain here how Beth is a character to be pitied in a sense, and so that she's just dealing with her own trauma in her own way. And then coming down here, Cal. I chose this image because Cal is, in a way, comforting to Conrad, and so he's just trying his best to be a good father to Conrad. And then so if you go back home and then click on the next one, to Conrad and Berger. So this is just Conrad and Berger. It's talking about their relationship and the symbolism and how important Berger is to the story. And so I picked this image of a lock and a key going into someone's brain. It's supposed to symbolize Conrad's brain being helped unlocked by Berger because of all of the trauma that he's locked up and buried inside of himself. And so Berger helped Conrad open up his mind and navigate through his trauma, which is why I picked a lock and a key. And then for this image right here, it's a perspective matters image. And so this person's looking at it from one way, the other says the other way, and it's a 6 and a 9 and little image. A message saying perspective matters. And then while I'm down here, I can just this is a footnote. It's on all of the pages, but it's just a little quote that I thought was really cool, and a little bit of analysis for that quote. And I think this quote really is similar and like plays a big role in a lot of the parts of the story. Okay, and then going back to home to this third part with which is Conrad and Buck. And so this is just all of the analysis. So first, for the first image, I chose a boat because this is the scene of the boat sinking, and it's Buck and Conrad trying to stay alive, and Buck eventually lets go and passes away with like the aggressive waves. Then we have Conrad and his like being left alone without Buck. And this image just to show kind of like the darkness that's enveloping him, his isolation from the rest of the world, and like falling into despair. And then this image is to show how how you see someone from your eye or perspective, kind of tying into some of the other images and some symbolism I talk about. It's talking about how Conrad sees Buck from one perspective, whereas Cal sees him from another, especially with this Buck gagging Conrad scene, because Cal walks in and it's a whole different perspective from Cal's side, a whole different story. And then moving on to this fourth section with Conrad and how he blamed himself. For this first picture, I picked Atlas holding up the world, Greek mythology reference, and it's to show Conrad carrying. It's to symbolize Conrad carrying the responsibility of his own world and trauma all upon his own shoulders, and taking it upon himself to do that. The second image I chose because Conrad blames himself for the death of his brother, and it's just he's pointing at himself, even though it technically was not his fault that Buck let go, and he constantly asks himself, why couldn't it have been me that like died instead of Buck, right? And then this image of a ball with the guilt tied to it. So it's just talking about how Conrad is forced to learn how to live with his guilt, and you can't really get rid of it. It's more of like working through it, and that actually ties with this quote over here, which is also about guilt. And then these are two original pictures that I took myself. This first one, so this passage is talking about Conrad and how he recovered by the end of the novel, and so this image is to symbolize how he was struggling with studies after being like held back for a year because of all of the self harm that happened, and how he didn't really like studying books in general. And this image is one to portray Jeanine's hand, which is talked about in the beginning part of this paragraph, which just talks about how it shows how comfortable Jeanine is with Conrad, and or like comfortable enough to go to him for something that she needs, and so Conrad has recovered to the um, extent where he is able to help other people. Um, and then last but not least, the self harm part. So this first banner portrays internal conflict within Conrad, and so which leads to all of the self harm that he does. So first, this little picture over here is just it's relating to the Skokie Girl incident, and so I also took this picture. I thought it showed how Conrad used nature. He went on a little walk after he learned about the Skokie Girl thing. After taking a nap, he couldn't sleep, and so he went on a little walk, which led to that police scene. And so I thought it would relate to that. The Skokie Girl incident, this image shows a little hands over the eyes, and it's basically Conrad and his PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder, being triggered by an incident that relates to what he went through. And then this image of a brain in control. Um, it symbolizes Conrad trying to manipulate and control himself by suppressing his own emotions and saying, "Oh, I'm all right. Nothing bad's happened. It's everything is fine." And then lastly, this image over here is a self harm image. It shows someone hanging themselves, a very violent image, and it's just shows how fed up he was with everything that was going on in his life, and that he wanted to end his own life. Um, and also, if you notice, for the theme of the whole website, I went for very simplistic. I went for a peach background on most of the pages. Some of the other pages, though, depending on what theme they are, do change colors here and there. But yeah, that those are all of the design choices that I went with, and the pictures explained. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.